Hi, I'm Lynette and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you a tutorial on this look. Well, really more like 3 looks. You'll see what I mean when you see the tutorial. I'm using this new palette from Amorus Cosmetics. Is that the name? I'm not sure. The Nala palette. So I saw this palette on Instagram, and first of all, look at the packaging. I love cats, big cats and small cats. So right away I fell in love with the packaging. And it's called the Nala palette. So, and the names in here, I mean, I didn't do any research, okay? I'm gonna just tell you that right now. So I'm assuming it is in reference to Nala in The Lion King. And yeah, really pretty. And it has 32 shadows. It's actually, they call it a 32 shade pressed pigment palette. So it's cardboard packaging with a magnetic closure, which is really nice, and it's kind of long, kind of big. And then when you open it up, there's 32 eyeshadows in it. 3 of them, I think they're calling them what are they called? Micro shimmers, but 3 of them I call pressed glitters because that's really what they are. I'm going to read for you what they say about this palette on the back of it. It says the Nala palette is packed with a selection of 32 highly pigmented mattes and micro shimmers, all with a smooth and blendable texture. The palette is arranged in rows with collections of versatile shades, and it allows you to create both classic and playful looks that are easy to apply on the go. And the palette has, the first ingredient is mica, but the second ingredient is talc, and the 4th ingredient is mineral oil. So if those ingredients don't jive with you, you may not want this palette. It does not say anything about being vegan, but it does say it's cruelty free, and it has a shelf life of 24 months. Now, when I saw the color story of this palette, I thought, wow, that's really, really pretty. It's got a lot of nice, beautiful, muted tones, muted shades in it, and it just, the color story just spoke to me. What spoke to me even more was the price of this palette. I paid $15. Yes, it's $15 for 32 eyeshadows. Now, well, pigments. The pans are not big, but you know, they're big enough. And for $15, I mean, I'm not gonna complain. In doing the swatches, all of the shadows are really soft, they're really smooth, and I was very encouraged by the swatches. I mean, the shimmer shades swatch just as smoothly as the matte shades, and then you have those 3 pressed glitters. In using the palette, because the shadows are soft, you are going to get some kick up. So if that's something you're not into, you may not want this palette either. I mean, as you can see, I used it once for the first time, and it kind of looks beat up. But you know, I don't think it's any worse than, let's say, an Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow. I always, when I'm comparing the powderiness or the kick up of shadows, I always compare them to ABH, because ABH, in my opinion, tends to be very soft, and you get a lot of kick up in your pan when you put your brush in it, even if you do it lightly. So I think in relation to that, it's fine. For me, it's fine. And the palette does come with this big size mirror, which I didn't mention, but really, really pretty packaging. Now, I ended up doing 3 looks, I want to say. The first 2 looks I used this shade down here, and I used this shade down here, and then I used some of the greens. Like these greens just, I think that's one of the reasons I bought this palette. The greens in here look so pretty. So I used some of those greens, and then I couldn't help myself. I used this beautiful shimmer shade right here, which is called Wisdom. And I didn't like the look. But it wasn't the shadow's fault. It was me. It was all me. And I don't know. I just wasn't digging it. So I took off the one eye and I used the same shadows, but instead of putting the glitter all, you know, all across my lid, I decided to do a halo eye with it, and I didn't like that either. So I took that off. And then I did this look, and this look I really do like. So you're going to see both of those failed looks, and then you're gonna see me do this look. Now, in working with the eyeshadows, you know, if you've been here before, if you followed me at all, I'm not crazy about pressed pigments, but you know, I can work with them. Usually they just take a little more work. I would prefer an eyeshadow to a pressed pigment, but okay, fine. So I did use these shadows, and I can say that the mattes, after using it for the first time today, and I didn't use all of the shades, of course, but the mattes need to be built up. In using the shadows today, I found that I needed to build up the mattes to get the pigmentation that you see in the pan. And I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I do prefer shadows that have a lot of pigmentation when you first go in, but not a lot of people do. So these mattes, if you like the kind of mattes that you can build up and you don't have to worry about going in immediately with too much and then trying to blend it out, then you'll like these mattes. They did blend well. Like I said, I was able to build up the pigmentation, and then they did blend very well. I did find that I used the regular my Urban Decay eyeshadow primer because I know that that works, and that's a good primer. And when using a new palette, you know, I want to make sure that any problems I have with it is not because of the primer. It's the shadow. I can say it's the shadow. So I used a very reliable, good primer. I wanted to give it the best chance possible because I didn't know the formula going in. And so they blended out very well. I did find in the first look that when I did the outer V shade, the darkest shade, I don't know, maybe in editing I will find that if it looked just fine, but it seemed to me like I was having problems getting it to adhere and to build up on the outer V. And this is because it was the last eyeshadow I used. And normally, so I don't know why I did this, but normally when I'm working with pressed pigments, I will go in with the darkest eyeshadow first to make sure that that one goes on, adheres, and I can blend it out, and then I move on to the crease and the rest of the shadows. So in the first two looks, I had already applied 2 eyeshadows, and then I went in with the darkest shade, and I felt like, I don't know, it was taking me a while to build it up to where I wanted it to be, and I wasn't sure I actually got it exactly where I wanted it to be. Of course, again, if in editing, you know, because sometimes with all these lights on, I can't see a damn thing, okay? So sometimes it looks one way to me when I'm filming, and then when I go to edit, I'm like, oh no, that looked fine, or I'm like, oh no, that looked terrible. So, and then, I mean, but you know, it came out nice. I just didn't like it, but I think it came out well. It came out nice. And then the glitter shadow that I used, that one right there, absolutely beautiful. I did use glitter glue, and it went on spectacularly. You'll see that in the tutorial. Now, the shimmer shades I was very impressed with. I used shimmers for this look. I used 2 of them. This one here, and this one right here. And this one, Inspiration, that's the one I have on the inner corner and as my inner corner of the eye, inner part of my lid, and the inner corner highlight. And that shade, I used it wet. You know, I always expect to go in with a damp brush when I use shimmers, but that right there, oh my God, it went on beautifully. I was not prepared, to be honest with you. I wasn't ready. So the shimmers, the two that I used, really nice. Now, if you wanted to create, for example, a similar look to this and you don't have this palette, that's quite all right. The Be Perfect Carnival palette, I did a look that was similar to this one. You could definitely use the Juvia's Place Berries palette. Has similar shadows. It doesn't have that light metallic shade in here, but the foundation of the look, you could do something very similar. The Vintage Rose palette from Give Me Glow Cosmetics, you could certainly do a similar look, and it does have one of these light shades like the one I put on the inner lid. And then the greens that are in this palette, which I have to admit is the main reason I bought it. These greens right here, so pretty. And then you've got these shimmer shades that are olivey green. Immediately I thought of the Gimme Glow Juicy Olive palette, where you've got similar eyeshadows in it. And then there's the Tribe palette by Juvia's Place that has some greens in it, and this dark green teal as well. It's even got some oranges that are similar to what's in this palette. So if you don't have this palette, I'm sure you have palettes in your collection that have similar eyeshadows to them. I think for $15, it's a nice palette. And I'm happy I got it. I'm happy to, like, I need another damn eyeshadow palette, but so you will be seeing more looks with this palette because I'm just getting started. Again, you know, is it my favorite? I wouldn't, right now, with using it only the one time, I wouldn't necessarily say it's my favorite formula, because again, I like mattes that are pigmented and have a punch from the get-go, whereas these you have to build up. But if you're like, you know, if you like to build up your shades, if you're a beginner when it comes to eyeshadow application, then I think this would be a great palette for you to start with for not so much money. So if you would like to see the looks, including this one, that I created using the Nala palette, then keep on watching. Starting off today's look with the Urban Decay Anti-Aging Primer Potion. And I'm just going to blend that out all over my eye using my finger. Now I'm going to go into the palette, and I'm going to take this first shade Kingdom and a NYX number 16 brush, and I'm going to first tap and then blend that into the crease. And it's got good pigmentation. You have to build it up, but as you can see, it only took 2 pats into the pan to get it to show up. Of course, I'm going to go in a few more times just to build that color up a little bit more, but nice pigmentation once you build it up, of course. And without using a white base, I mean, I think it shows up very well, and it's a nice light, almost a lime green shade. So to be that color, that light of a color, it's and to use it without a white base, it's doing pretty well. Back into the palette, and I'm taking the shade Africa, and this is an even lighter lime green shade, and I'm going to use that to blend out the edges of that first shade we use. I'm using the Sonia G Mini Booster Brush. This has really become a favorite brush of mine. I have the Sonia G Sky Eye set, and I have the Pro set, the first one she came out with the red handles, and I don't know, I think I am really liking the Sky set, maybe perhaps a little bit more. I mean, the brushes in both sets are fairly similar, but like this little brush here for my eyes is really good. Back into the palette, and now I'm taking Victory, which is this really dark, like purple blue. It's got strong purple and strong blue in it. And I'm using my Real Techniques shading brush to first tap it onto the outer V area, and then I'm going to blend it. Now, it doesn't look very pigmented. I mean, you can see the pigmentation, but right there in the fold of the crease, I could still see my my skin. Now I'm blending it into the crease using back and forth motions. So I had to go back in and continue to build this shade up to get it to the opacity that I wanted. It's a really pretty shade, very dark blue purple shade. And as you can see, it blends very well. I mean, the mattes are nice in this palette. You just have to build them up. I did find this shade to be a little problematic to adhere to my skin, but these are the difficulties you run into with pressed pigments when you try to layer them on top of other shadows. And so here I just continue to build up the color. Now I'm taking my NYX Glitter Primer and I'm going to put that all over the lid because I'm going to go in with that beautiful lime green with blue glitter specks in it. And so to make sure that it sticks, I'm going to use glitter glue. So now I'm going to take that glitter, and I don't know what the name of it is, sorry. And I'm going to tap it on with my finger, and look how beautiful it is. This is the prettiest glitter I've ever seen. I'm taking my Sephora silicone applicator because I want to get right in there in the corners, and I can't really do that with my finger. So this is going to allow me to apply that glue a little more precisely, apply the glitter a little more precisely. And it's just so beautiful, so bright. And if you continue to pack it on, you could definitely, you wouldn't even need a base, I don't believe, a shadow underneath this glitter. It would shine all on its own. I'm taking it above my crease because of my eye fold. I really want you to be able to see all this glitter. And then I'm going back in with Victory to try to blend it into the glitter. But I don't know, I just didn't like this. The glitter is really chunky. It does have a nice base to it, so it will help it to adhere to your eye even without the glitter glue. But I don't know, the contrast between the glitter and the dark eyeshadow, I just didn't really care for. I'm just going back in now and trying to blend these shadows all together. And I guess to have a glitter this prominent, you see how that glitter transferred. I'm putting it over the crease now because with my fold it'll get gobbled up. That glitter will get gobbled up, and I wasn't liking this. It had nothing to do with the glitter. The glitter performed fine. The shadows performed fine. I just didn't like the way it looked on my eyes with my prominent eye fold. So we're going to try this again. So all I did was just remove the lid color, and I started over actually, but it's the same steps. Then I decided to do a halo eye. So I used the same eyeshadows in the same order, but now this time instead of using Victory just on the outer V and blending it 3/4 of the way into the crease, now I'm going to place it on the inner corner of my eye as well to create a halo eye. And just blending out that dark shade because we want to make sure all of these shadows blend seamlessly together. Now I'm going back in with that glitter. This time I'm using my silicone applicator to apply it onto the middle part of my lid. And I just wouldn't give up on that glitter because that glitter is so beautiful. This glitter is really the most beautiful glitter I've ever seen or I have in my collection. So now I'm going back in with the glitter. And I'm using my silicone applicator to place it precisely where I want it to go. And that's just on the mobile eyelid. And I'm also going to, as you can see, look, it's pretty opaque. So you really don't need any shadow underneath that. And now I'm going to bring it just above my fold, my eye fold, because again, I want you to be able to see this glitter. And then it's just a matter of going back and forth with that Victory shade to try to blend it into the glitter so it doesn't look like I just took my finger and tapped that glitter right on the middle of my eyelid. But because this glitter, I mean, it's, you know, it's kind of chunky. It just, I don't know. It just, again, it's not, there's nothing wrong with this glitter. It's a perfectly nice glitter. I'm using that really light lime green shade again to blend around the edges. There's nothing wrong with the glitter. It's just, I just was not feeling this. Now I'm going in with the Urban Decay Primer Potion on the lower lash line. At this point, I knew I was going to take this look off, so I didn't bother to do the rest of my makeup or my concealer or anything. I'm just going to finish this eye look to show you what it would look like and what you could do with this palette and these eyeshadows. You could throw on a black eyeliner and some lashes if you wanted to, and you'd have a perfectly good look. I'm using I don't know what eyeliner this is. It's from LA Girl though, I know that, and it's purple. I think it's the purple color, and I'm putting that into my waterline. And this is the look. Like I said, I didn't do the rest of my makeup because I knew I didn't like this. I don't know. I just didn't like the way that the glitter looked in the middle of my eyelid like that. And that eye is really bad. So this just didn't work for my eyes or for my preference. So we're going to go in and try this again. I did use the Urban Decay Anti-Aging Primer Potion again to set the eye. I did not set it with any powder. I left it unset. Now I'm going in with the shade Bravery and a Sonia Kashuk blending brush. I went in a whole different direction this time. I think you got a good look of what those green eyeshadows and that really deep blue purple eyeshadow would do, and that glitter. So I felt like just going in a different direction and trying some different eyeshadows this time around. And I'm just going to blend that out 3/4 of the way into the crease. And once again, I had to build up these matte shades, but they blended very nicely and they built up very nicely as well. Now I'm going in with Mother and a Sonia Kashuk brush. I'm not quite sure which one this is. And I'm just going to fill in that blank space in the inner crease. And these shades sort of looked alike once I blended them together, but you can see it is a little different, a little lighter than that original shade. And I wanted to make sure I went all the way down there into my inner corner and blended out the darker shade in the crease. Now I'm taking this metallic shimmer shade, and this is Beauty, and a Sigma E60 brush. And I first went in with it dry just to see what it would do. And actually, not bad. I actually don't think I wet this. I think I went in with it dry. Yeah. And this isn't bad at all. And this shimmer metallic shade worked really well. I went back into the palette and built it up, put another layer of it on, and as you can see, it's very metallic and very nicely pigmented and shimmery without having to wet it. And then I'm going to take Inspiration, and I also use this dry. And wow, I was not expecting this. After using that first shade, this was really bright and shimmery and metallic, which now this is what I like when I use a metallic shade. And I'm just going to blend that into the lid shade. And then going back in with the previous shade, Beauty, just to make sure I blend these two shades in together, because that lash metallic was really, really light and bright. And then back in with Mother on the outer V to blend it into the lid shade. And I'm just cleaning up under the eye. And now I'm going into my waterline with the Milk Makeup Longwear Gel Eyeliner in the shade BCC. And this is just a nude liner. And these liners are really nice. And now I'm just going back in with, I'm pretty sure this is Mother, and my Makeup Geek pencil brush. And I'm going to blend that out onto the lower lash line. And decided to take it all the way in, all the way across the lower lash line. And now I'm just using that inspiration in the inner corner. It's not wet. And this is the completed look. Totally different from the first two looks, but I really, really liked how it turned out. Let me know what you think of this palette after seeing the swatches and the tutorial and seeing these shadows in action. Let me know what you think about it. Is this a palette you think you'd be interested in picking up, or do you have similar shadows in your collection and you'll be passing? Let me know down below. If you liked this video, then please give it a like and consider subscribing, because I do eyeshadow tutorials, makeup hauls, swatches, and reviews here on my channel every Saturday. I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you again next week. Until then, bye-bye.